Thanks for joining us today on The Perfect X. My name is Sherry, and this is my co-host Lee.
Hello.
And we have another special guest today. We are doing another perspective, the single guy edition. So we're going to get a guy's answer towards the questions that we asked Jessica last week. And today we have Ali.
Nice to, I guess, meet you guys.
Yeah.
What's going on?
And this is the first time these two are connecting. So, Lee, I didn't want to say anything to you because I wanted to get your natural reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But I met Ali online. Well, Ali, I've known Lee since I was 14, so he's been stuck with me for a long time. But
Sorry
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
But Ali, I met Ali online like before COVID, like 2019
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And that's how I met him. So he's actually a Tinder date.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
One of the
But-
only connections that I actually have ever met up with on
Really? Wow.
Bumble or Tinder. Yeah.
Don't let that put you off. They're usually more normal.
Yeah, I think I disconnected after that.
You
But
just hung it up.
But he was too stupid. He still gave me his number, so he was stuck.
Yeah.
But it
That'll
was so
happen.
long ago. Ali, I don't know if you remember, like, let me tell you how fucked up this was for this poor guy. I had just, my 4 and 5L of my back had been all fucked up and screwed, and I was like in
That's
so much
right.
pain. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I was constantly in so much pain, unless people would bang on, like, I was going to chiropractor, I could barely walk. I was in so much pain. And I would constantly ask people to like hit my back because it would hurt all the time. And I meet this guy for the first time and I kept being like, please, please punch my back. And he was like, I can't hit a girl in public. But I think
I
you
mean-
eventually did. You did.
Being Persian doesn't help the situation, So, having, being Muslimish is, I figure people could be Jewish, I could be Muslimish.
Yeah, Muslim
just-
adjacent. That's a thing.
Yeah. So, it's not a good look. So, I mean, I've had girls ask me to choke them. I'm still wary of that. I've had, smack them, things like that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave any marks.
You
What
cross
if I
the
run for office?
then you're getting Me Too'd, and yeah. It's not
Yeah,
good,
exactly. I get
This was
canceled.
before. I'm pretty sure this was before Me Too, but I'm sure because it was in public, I'm sure people would have recorded it. It would have been on something. But you did store. I think once I hung out with him like halfway through, he got so sick of me. He was like, "Wait, do you still want me to punch you? Because I'm definitely down."
Because I'll happily punch you in the mouth.
In
You
the
just tell
temple,
me.
yeah.
That's not true. I would never.
But anyways, that was how I met him. But all right, now we will focus on why you're single.
But I do have a funny Me Too story way before Me Too, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah, that's for when you're in jail and we've come to do a little interview about you.
There you go.
All right, so I kind of know this, but you can tell our listeners. So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. We asked this girlfriend of Lee's last week, and she answered a bunch of stuff. And so the fun thing is, like, you're going to answer it, and we're going to compare. We'll give our listeners a guy's perspective of dating.
The right perspective.
Mhm.
All right, so the fucking bullshit that I'm going to deal with during this. Okay, how long have you been single?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Depends who's
Well, that's
listening.
not true. Yeah. Let's see. I guess officially December.
Oh, that was really fresh.
Yeah, mid-December. Yeah, but I
And-
mean, it was over way before then.
And how long did you guys date?
Almost 2 years.
Crazy. It's crazy. When
Yeah,
I
it was crazy.
when I heard about this, he was so excited about this girl. So I'm excited to delve into this. So
I
Yeah.
think Sherry, yours wouldn't add up to 2 years if you put all of them together. I don't think.
no, I have
That's
one
a pretty
year.
good run.
I have 1 year that I've won almost 2 years.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say that usually it's 2 weeks. And then how long did you date online?
I never really. It was kind of. I would jump on every now and then, and I could never take it seriously. So I would connect someone with somebody, and then then I don't. My follow through is just not very good because I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old. You would agree with that, but I can't take it seriously. It's like everyone's profiles are the same. So I'd get on there, I'd be like, this is stupid, and then I jump off, and then I'd connect with somebody, and then it wouldn't go anywhere because I would never follow up.
Well, Sherry was saying the conversations were all the same.
I mean, it's like look at every profile. Every profile is like, oh, I love yoga. I love, sushi. I love. It's like,
Ask me about my veganism.
yeah, I mean, hey, who's going to be honest in their profile and say, hey, I'm on antipsychotics and I'm on mood, whatever,
Stabilizers.
smooth, thank you, and and then let's see where it goes, because no one's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that because we'll ask you about, like, you didn't meet your recent girlfriend online. You met her in person.
Yes.
So did you have any relationship that you had online, or like did you even meet people really online?
It's, the funny thing is
that's enough to put you off.
Yeah, right. That's all it took.
To leave
and then I
every
went,
app after that.
yeah, and then I became gay. No, but but no, it's funny. The few girls that I've actually met up with, I'm still friends with a couple of them, and the others, it was like one date and we never spoke again. You know what I mean?
Mm.
When the whole thing kind of first started, Tinder, Bumble, all that, I was traveling a lot for work, and a friend of mine was like, "Dude, you should jump on these apps." I'm like, it's not for me. He goes, "Dude, it's not what you think. Just get on there. You might meet people on the road, and just have somebody go have a drink with, whatever." So I actually did that a couple times on the road, and did meet up with a couple girls, have drinks here and there. Like nothing ever came out of it. There's no hookups or anything. But when it comes to dating, to me, it's just not. It needs to be organic, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing too. We should tell listeners, like, Allie's really social. Like, you're like, that's one of the reasons why it's so easy to connect with you. Like, I'm actually surprised you had just one date, because you're so easy to get along with. And you work kind of. I mean, we won't tell listeners because they'll stalk you, but you work kind of in a social setting, so you meet people all the time, and you're so talkative, so you probably meet a lot of people out. I'm assuming.
Right. Okay. So thank you for the nice commentary. I appreciate that. Coming from you, any compliment is huge. So,
First and last.
Yeah, it'll fade.
but again, how do you convey that all in a, I don't know, however many letter bio about yourself, right? Hey, I'm funny. I'm awesome.
This is what we're asking you, because I don't know. Sherry's always trying to. I've never done online dating, and then Sherry's. She's going on.
I put stupid shit like 4 out of 5 moms love me, like, and just things, because I can't take it seriously. So maybe if I took it a little more seriously, who knows? But maybe I'm also not ready to date. I don't know.
Which you're like almost 50 now, aren't you?
Yes, thank you for
when will you be ready to date?
I'm ready. I mean, I was ready with the last girlfriend I was dating. It just, didn't pan out how I thought it would.
Which apps did you try? Did you try them all, like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge?
Tinder, Bumble. I went on Hinge, and that's the other thing for me. I'm like, okay, it's just there's too many steps. I'm done.
Do you think they're all the same, or like, do you have the same experience with all of them?
No, I don't. I mean, look, I think if you really want to get serious, Match, I know for a lot of people has worked. I'm sure eHarmony works. There are some other pay ones. There are matchmakers out there, that do work. But you got to put in the time, and you got to take it seriously. And for me, apps it's just not for me.
But I mean, like, between like Bumble and Tinder, do you think there's a difference, or you think it's the same shit?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think for sure Tinder is Bumble's more serious. Maybe back when they first came on board, I mean, really it was just Tinder, and then Bumble came around, and then Tinder kind of went by the wayside. It was kind of like, Facebook and MySpace, right? And then Tinder kind of became just like, strippers and like, OnlyFans girls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even
Whatever that
Instagram's
OnlyFans thing
getting
is.
like that. I'm like just trying to look at goddamn hot rods, and it's like all these fucking strippers. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and then I'm on these conversations with these, like, I'm like, what is no? People try to. It's like, oh,
Get your credit card number and stuff.
Yeah. So
have you had that happen?
What's part?
Like, have you had those? Because I know there's a lot of crypto girls now on. I don't know what they do with it, but they try to get to sell cryptocurrency or something. And then
yeah, I get that stupid shit all the time. It's like, who the fuck are you fooling?
Yeah. Must be somebody, because they keep doing it.
Well, and
I know somebody who's fallen for it.
well,
So,
and no offense, if you ever look at the friends of those weird, they're totally fake accounts,
Yeah.
and if you look at the friends, it's like, you know, dudes in Nigeria, dudes in the military, and like dudes in
Yeah.
the Middle East,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
You
I'm
know
Middle
the
Eastern, so yeah.
people buy followers on Instagram and other apps, and I know a guy that started a page, and I'm sure he did that because he had like 2 or 3 thousand followers or something like a week. I was like, what's that about? And then I was looking through, and like you say, it's all like webcam girls or like Nigerian princes or whatever, right? And I'm like, look at these people. Like they're all sort of the same kind of profile. They all have 7 photos, and there's a few things that were
Yeah,
like the same with every profile.
yeah,
even
it's
the
hilarious.
fake accounts on guys, because Bumble or like dating apps for girls, at least for me, I've just noticed fake accounts since AI came, but they don't even change the face. Like these 10 guys with different names. It's the same face, and
Oh
they just
yeah,
keep making the same profile. Like they don't even create that many faces or
they
that
just
many
download
fake
like
AIs.
generic pictures of people.
Yeah, well, there's
Exactly.
only like the same 10 faces, so you start to just recognize them.
Yeah, I can see
Um,
that.
So why would you think online dating is so hard? Like you just think keeping the conversation is what makes it really hard, or like what would you say like or the forget the fake accounts, forget the OnlyFans, like why do you think because you are a genuine person. So why don't you think you can have a genuine connection online? What would you say is the hardest part?
It's probably just me, because I'm the type of guy that will go out to a restaurant by myself and sit at a bar and watch, whatever sports and hang out and strike up a conversation with somebody next to me. And like you said, I'm social and I talk to people, and that's just how I've always met people. Or even at my store, I've met people, but to me, that's kind of like taboo, But I've had friends, clients of mine, set me up with other friends and whatever things like that. But I, maybe I'm old school, but it has to be organic in that way for me. I,
So for
I
you, the
just,
mindset around online isn't there.
yeah,
That's
it's
interesting.
it's 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 a very personal thing, I guess, for everybody, right? If you're really looking for love, if you're looking for a hookup, it's all out there. Just it depends on what you want and how serious you are. I mean, if you're serious, I think nowadays Hinge is the new one, right? But if you're very serious, you probably get on Match. I mean, I know multiple people that went on Match and have gotten married. Same with eHarmony.
It's funny
But
we've never brought up Match or eHarmony. I've tried them both once, and I found it was the same people almost, or they were much much older than me. By the time I was like in my like early 30s. But it's funny that you say
and
that.
by the way, what do you mean by much much older? Like 47?
Yeah.
Right, got it.
But I was like 31, 32, and they were like 47, 55. And I was
Oh yeah.
like there wasn't the only ones that were around my age were like guys I wouldn't have talked to on Bumble. You know what I mean? So I got really annoyed. But I think I would take a look at it again. And actually it's interesting that you say that because like Jessica was saying, she's like her problem with online dating is she feels like except during COVID, people just want to like they don't really care to get to know each other online. She didn't feel like that was like any of interest.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because how many when you're swiping left or right, the first thing you do is look at the picture and you immediately swipe left or right. You don't like, oh, they're kind of cute. Maybe I'll look at their bio. I mean, people are just, I mean, right? You do it, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
does. So how do you really get to meet someone? How do you like you're probably missing on a lot of connections that could be great connections, but you'll never know because
But
all you're looking at is the face.
how could you say that's any different than when you're at the bar and you see someone across the room? You would still go up to someone based on how they look to you, like if that's your type of attraction.
Right. But if you're around friends and you go out with people and this and that, and there's a group of guys and a group of girls, and someone brings a friend that, you know, who knows, maybe you have a connection with, you guys have a great time, and, you're still attracted, but it's, I mean, there's at least it's more organic, and relationships can happen that way too. The common interests, whether it's at a gym or at church or at a concert, whatever.
It's funny that you say so. Me and Lee talk about this all the time. Do you still meet people out and about? Like, do you go up to girls still? Do you feel like that's okay to do that? Like
Apparently, I do
it.
because I did a couple weeks ago in a very funny way.
So how did you do it? No, I'm actually curious how you did. Like, how would you go about doing
I don't know that I want to talk about this exact situation online.
that?
People
Okay,
might
give
think,
us
all right, so
any
here's what happened. She
specifics.
was at the bar with this guy, and she kept looking at me from across the bar, kept
Oh,
staring
I've
at me,
done that on a date. Oh,
and she
that's a
was
good one.
totally staring at me the whole time. Even my friend was like, "Dude, she's." And I'm like, obviously, it's a Tinder date that's gone wrong.
Yeah.
So she went to the restroom, and I was like, I waited a couple minutes. I'm like, oh, you know what? I got to go to the restroom real quick. So it had just happened to be timed perfectly when I was going to the restroom. She was coming out. I said, look, obviously you're not into that guy, so here's my card. And she goes, I'm sorry, what? I go, here's my card. What's your number? She goes, she looked at me like in disgust, like you're gonna ask my number right now, right here. I'm like, well, I can't do it in front of him.
Yeah.
She was like looking at me in disgust and gave it to me. So I texted her a couple days later, and she didn't respond. So I guess it didn't go over very well. But it was kind of like, I'm just going to do it because it's kind of funny, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, why
You
not?
know?
Yeah.
I'm actually
So,
so impressed with you because I've been on dates where I keep looking at someone else, like the date is going bad, and I'll be completely staring at someone else, and then I'll like walk past them, like hoping they'll do that, and they don't, and then I have to like secretly go give my number to like the waitress to go give to them. Give it every time that's happened, it's always been the weirdest guy. Like then he'll call me the next day. Like one guy, he was a total like psychopath, and he like on the date like refused. He thought this was like a love story match, like the whole story had to happen, and our date was really bad. And the second guy before the date, he asked me not to wear perfume because he wanted to smell my pheromones, and I was like, oh,
Holy
okay,
fuck.
we
that's
are
weird.
not. Yeah, they're
That's
not. So,
weird.
so I always felt like I got punished for being bad to my date. But I love that you did that. I actually think the fact that she was looking at you all night, and those signs are not mistaken. I don't think you're not a cocky person, and in general, I don't think that's a mistaken sign. If you're staring at someone, there's a reason, you know.
And like I said, even my buddy was like, dude, and that is not a move I would typically do, but
But it's a good one. I'm really impressed with you. It's a, if it was me and I was that girl, I would be so impressed. So
yeah.
she was probably just trying to get attention, and then trying to act like she was too good for her, but she was seeking it out because I know anytime I'm looking at someone across the room, I'm doing it on purpose.
And then I sent her a funny text a couple days after. It wasn't like very serious. It was, you know, I think it was pretty funny. And still, you
What
don't
did you
find
say?
comedy. I don't remember
If
something
you
like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the handsome gentleman that was sitting across the bar that you kept staring at all night with your obviously Tinder date gone wrong or something along those lines." And I insisted on getting your number, and you reluctantly gave it to me. But anyway, if you want to grab a drink, let me know. Something along those lines. And apparently, she didn't. She wasn't amused, which is fine.
Ellie,
But
I'm
she brought.
I'm really impressed with you. These are good moves.
Why, thank you.
These
Did she not acknowledge that she was staring? Was she trying to play that she wasn't?
She never even responded, and I didn't engage in. Who knows if it was even her real number? I mean,
no, but in
you know.
person, he meant in person.
Oh,
Did she know?
oh, yeah. I mean, even when we were kind of crossing paths, I was like, you were. She's like, well, yeah, but I I can't do this here. I'm like, well, we can't do it out there. So,
Yeah.
and then she still disgustingly gave me her number.
I
What a
love how you
weirdo.
saying this guy. That is weird because if she admits that she was staring and she was staring, then what did she expect? You to follow them home when he drops you off and you to pop out of the bush and
I don't
then
know
ask for a number?
exactly.
Like where else were you supposed to do it? You
You
did
gotta
it
do the
without the
Mrs.
prying
Doubtfire, just
eyes.
come out in a costume. She won't even just sit down
Exactly.
or be a waiter.
Well, her loss.
My problem is like I don't have really great vision, and I probably stare at people inadvertently all the time, and they're like, "What the fuck is this guy's problem?" Right? I'm just like daydreaming away, but I do that quite a bit. I'm just kind of staring off, and then I realize I'm staring at somebody. I'm like, "Ah, shit."
Well,
That's
that's like a
funny.
probably different. You're in Vancouver. You're not going to get your ass kicked, but in LA, you definitely would want to do
No, I don't go anywhere
that.
anyways. If it's more like if I'm like sitting in traffic or I'm like waiting in line somewhere, I'm kind of like even yesterday I was at the mall. I was kind of just staring off, and the girl behind me is like, "Yo, like get a fucking move on." Like the girl's like calling you up there. I'm like, "Oh shit," But yeah, it might have been
That
That's really funny too.
situation like that. But obviously, it sounds like she was. I mean, it sounds like she was legit staring, but didn't want to admit it or something.
and
I,
you're Your move is really good. I'm really impressed. If that was me and I was that girl, I would have been really impressed with you. And I think most girls would have been.
Oh well,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's what is it like another move? Like let's say you're all at the bar. Like this happens a lot and sometimes some guys come up to me and my girlfriend and they do it in the worst fucking way possible. What would you say is like the best way to go up to someone? What is your best move besides this situation?
Um, you know,
You see
it's I guess it kind of depends on how many tequilas I've had usually, you know. But I like I've actually like I same kind of thing where if you're making eye contact and they kind of do the look at you, look away thing, clearly there's something there, and I'll just walk over and just kind of say, hey, I couldn't help you noticing me, or nothing that cheesy, but like, hey, just thought I'd come over and see if I can get you a drink or something like that. Um,
Yeah, so you still are totally comfortable doing that. I love it. I love that you are, but
yeah, and
that's
a lot
awesome.
of times, like I said, I'll go to dinner just by myself at a bar, and if there's a couple girls sitting next to me, like obviously you hear conversations and you don't want to pry, but you hear things, and I'll hear something and I'll make a funny comment. I'm like, look, I'm sorry not to pry, but and then usually it's like, oh my god, you're so funny, and then
It is funny. Yeah, I mean you're pretty funny. Okay, let me ask you this.
yeah.
What is it that you think you're looking for in a girl or like a significant, well, obviously a girl, significant other, but that you're not finding?
I know I'm not looking for drama and I'm finding it. Um, that's again, obviously it's I feel like everyone's answers are going to be the same, right? It's somebody who's just easygoing, fun, laugh together, and um, same interest. Somebody who enjoys same kind of music, and um, just it should be easy, right? Just I don't know. I mean, how do you?
So it's just not easy for you. It just hasn't been easy. Like it's not smooth sailing, is what you're saying.
Well, it starts out great, and then somewhere it takes a turn. Like, I mean, look, I've had situations with girls who have had um, mental health issues that I didn't know about until well into the relationship, and like I had no clue. So, I thought I had the perfect situation, the perfect, I had the one, and like legitimately thought I was going to marry a girl, and turned out that, she wasn't as stable as I thought originally,
And it wasn't
you
like
know?
the fact that she had meant it's just that she didn't have it in control. So there was a lot of issues you had to deal with that she wasn't willing to get proper care for, right? That's what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Yeah, obviously. Because I know you're not like someone who would just be like, oh, you got mental health issues. No, but it's because of the not getting the care she needed and then causing a lot of issues because of
yeah,
it, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Uh, what are some mistakes you think women make when meeting men online? Like, let's say you met a girl on Tinder. What would be a reason why you wouldn't go out with her again? Besides every reason I caused. But if you can think of, like, what would be something that you think a girl does wrong on a date that would make you not go out with her again?
um,
Ask you to punch her in the back.
well, that's one. Yeah, exactly.
When you really want to punch her in the face. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. I think it's first of all, it just be honest. Be honest about your age. Be honest about, you know, who you know. Sorry, not to be an asshole, but if your weight, if like there's a lot of girls who also put pictures of themselves in high school when they're not don't even look the same. It's like
Yeah, that's
I've had
pretty
The
girls
cheap.
who,
filters. No, no. I know you don't have to even sugarcoat that. I know a lot of filters, and it goes both ways. I've seen it with guys too, like the
oh, 100%,
filtering and the
100%.
adjusting. And it's not that you wouldn't go out with someone, it's just that you're so shocked by the lie that you're like, now you didn't even give me a chance to like
Well, but think about it.
want to go out with you.
You've started this whole thing off on a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it.
Like we're starting out, you're starting out as a lie. So if you're 38, be 38. I don't give a shit. Don't tell me you're 32 and then you're really 38. Then it's
Yeah,
like things like that.
yeah.
It's not necessary.
I totally get it. And I actually know, like, I have a girlfriend who looks nothing like her photos online, like nothing.
I got a few of
And
those. And they get
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
mad when you point it out. Let me tell you. I said, if you go fucking missing, we're fucked. Like, how are we gonna put up a wanted poster for you?
But it's true.
And then
It's
I got some Facebook memory popped up the other day, and it was her chirping me about something like that, and I was like, this is like years. So this has been like years ongoing, and then she was chirping me still about like bugging her about filters and stuff. I'm like, you're a good looking girl. Like, what's with the filters? Like, you don't look anything like that. And God forbid, you
You're
know,
good
like,
looking, you're not this good looking.
well, it's not even that it was good looking versus not good looking. It was like a totally different like look. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're like she was good looking in person and good looking in the pictures, but didn't look at all like herself, right? You know. So I was like, what are you
and it,
doing, man? You know.
and it does come off as a lot because it is true. Like it doesn't matter. Like, and I've only had that one time with a guy. I've had age lying a lot, but a look. And it wasn't that he was ugly, but he wasn't the picture. And I just thought, what a fucking liar. Like,
What's the
you
end
know
game with
what
the
you look
age
like.
line? Like they think that they won't be attracted to you if they're older or something, and then they figure if they can power through and get to know you, and then later spring it on you that
Yeah,
they're
and
older.
then
You
what?
know?
All of a sudden you're like getting serious, and you're like, oh hey, I'm really 5 years older than I told you. Like,
That's wild.
I had a girlfriend that lied by by 9 years with her, and he found out like 6 years into the relationship that she was 9 years.
That's
okay,
wild.
that's
She
just
said,
I,
fucking weird
that
and
is
fucked
weird.
up.
I don't get the
yeah.
end game, but yeah, I can see like what you're
He,
saying, like Sherry, like if you got like a filter for an age, and then guys are thinking that it's like kind of putting me out of the game because of my age. I don't know. Like I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think like ultimately being honest is going to be the best way because it's
Yeah.
really going to bite you in the ass. If you found out a year into it, the person's like 10 years older than you thought, you're like, what else do you like
it's
about
just it's exactly that. It's the simplest things. It's like you know what you look like, and you should be comfortable with the way you look like, and you know your age, and you should be comfortable. And like this is the way I see it. Like if there's a reason there are age filters. Like everyone has a certain age they want to date within. And I found that there's a lot of like older guys in LA that want to date younger girls. And so they'll be like 56, 57, and they'll put themselves at like 42.
it? Just seems
And then
annoying. Girls, younger people in general are just like even I don't even I feel like even 10 or whatever years would be hard to close that gap.
yeah, and the problem is that now you started on a lie because there's a reason I don't want to go with someone 20 years older than me. Like there's a reason
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
And I don't need to justify it to someone. So now when you're connecting with the person, it's the same with the looks. Like maybe that's not your look. There is somebody that look is for, and there is someone that will date older. So why are
So
you forcing another person in that perspective,
so
you know?
yeah.
I've got one for you. A buddy of mine who got divorced a few months back. He's on Hinge and he's gone out with this girl a couple of times. Funny thing is, um, she said she was like 43. She was really 48. So right off the bat, he's like, okay, you lied, this, that. Anyway, he goes out on a couple of dates with her, even after that. And the last date, he was like, I think my moral compass is, I'm pretty honest. I've had, the guy's totally sober now, has been for years. He's, mid early 50s and very successful guy. And he's like, I've never slept with a married woman. I've never done this. I'm very, I'm pretty straight laced and, I'm happy with that. I've had my days of drinking and partying and all that. And that's all in the past. And she's like, well, you just lied. He's like, uh, excuse me, how do you figure? She's like, well, you said you never slept with a married woman. He's like, well, no, I haven't. She's like, well, I'm still married. And he goes, well, on your profile, it says you're single. She's like, well, I'm getting divorced. He's like, yeah,
Oh,
but it says it says you're single and you're not. She's like, well, I'm getting divorced. He's like, but you're not. So you're not single. So
but that is
again,
technically single.
then say you're getting divorced or something, but and you don't on date 3 or 4 after you've hooked up with somebody, tell them that you're actually still married.
Yeah, yeah. You should have told him on the first date or before meeting. But
Right.
that's fair. Yeah,
They
I
need
agree
more
with
of
that.
the choices like Facebook had. Like I'm in a domestic partnership or something, right?
Yeah,
Like
right.
There are so many choices now. Like you literally can say everything. Like there's
yeah,
nothing to
I don't
be
know
safe.
why someone wouldn't tell you. Like again, like it's maybe they think it's off-putting or it's irrelevant or something. I don't know what people's thought processes are, but
It's like,
yeah,
Yeah.
look, divorce happens. It's just it's a
yeah,
fact of life anymore, right? So just say I'm getting divorced.
yeah. Some people
She
are
should have said something.
weird, like shame about weird things. Like yeah, I don't know. that I would. For me, it's yeah. I don't have the brain power to lie because I can't remember anything. So I got to tell the truth just out of convenience.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Well, you know what? It just makes life easier. I had a coworker who would lie all the time and couldn't remember what lie he told who, and I was like, dude, it makes your life so much easier to just be honest. If you
Yeah.
fuck something up, say you fuck it up. If you forgot to order something for somebody, say you forgot to order it. You make up all these lies and you can't keep up with your own shit, and then
Oh
you get
yeah.
caught up. Just be honest.
I got a
You
buddy that
know
just rotates through his excuses too, right? He's like, "Oh, I did order that, and they must not have sent it, and then this happened." But I'm like, I've heard this story
exactly.
before, right?
He hasn't been used. All right, here's a good one. Do you think men should pay on the first date?
Yes, absolutely.
What about the first 3 dates?
I mean, if you're going out with me, I mean, have you ever paid when you go out with me? And
No,
we don't even
no,
date,
no,
right?
no, no,
That's
no, never. Not even as a friend. We gotta
that,
ask.
and it's just not. That's not who I am. I mean, I'm not saying a guy has to pay for everything all the time, but the guy should pay.
No, I love it. I love it. We were saying this last time too. No, it's true. Even as a friend, you've never let me pay for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if
Okay,
I, that's just. I mean, that's just kind of how I guess I was brought up. Like, if I take a female coworker to lunch next door, I'm paying.
Yeah, I'm the
God
same way.
bless
Like even
you.
as a girl at work, I'll like hold the door for her. It's just like good manners. I think
Absolutely.
paying for the first or second date just falls into that. Especially if you're the one that's sort of initiating it and asking, "Hey, you want to go for lunch or whatever?"
100%,
Yeah,
100%. Like, and conversely, if the girl's like, "Hey, you wanna meet at so and so, or I'm gonna go meet a friend at so and so," you want to what? Well, I guess that wouldn't really be a date, right? But it's kind of who instigates it,
yeah.
but still,
Who's
even so, I would probably still pay just because. But
I feel like most guys would. I think it's just sort of like the I don't
You
know,
would be
traditional or
shocked.
something.
I had a girlfriend go out with a guy that I knew in Vancouver, and
There's your
they
problem.
like, I know, but he only paid for like less than half of it. He put like some cash down
A
and
fucking
then
weirdo.
slid the rest of the bill to her. She was so shocked. And he
he have a
asked him out
job.
on a date, and he picked the place. Yeah, a really, really good job.
That's haywire.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's a massive turnoff for guys or girls. If like
yeah.
you think that
Agreed.
they're already into it with the money, it's like man, like come
And
on.
I know a lot of girls say like they don't care, but I have girlfriends that say they don't care, and then when that happens with a guy, they never go with him again. So even if we say we
And
don't care, we like to be courted.
on that point, if a girl's not appreciative, that to me is a huge turnoff. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying thank you or this and that. Like I need you to kiss
Expecting
my
it.
ass, but the expectation is a
Yeah.
huge turnoff. Exactly.
No, no, that's so true. And it's actually I think that there's a difference between like wanting to be courted, but then like expecting the best or the thing. Like that's one of the reasons why I don't think like a most girl like the girls I know because they appreciate to be courted, they like when a guy pays, but they never pick the places because we don't know what your budget is or what you're comfortable with or whatever. That's why they're always open to like whatever the guy suggests because they're not expecting like a lavish dinner. They're not trying to go out for some free food or drinks. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they still appreciate like being taken out,
I
which I think is
would.
fair. But you can't like then expect the guy like on a certain budget to take you to like Mastro's, which is like a steakhouse out here. That's like you know what I mean? Like you
mm,
should just be accommodating and be appreciative.
yeah.
Right, and you shouldn't
I
be like, "Oh, this is where we're going." It's that's
yeah.
Yeah.
also.
What do you think is a girl's ideal first date? Like if you think you could like imagine what a girl would want.
Probably Mastro's and a picture on the step and repeat. And I mean, I'm sorry,
You
but any restaurant with a step and repeat is like it's like it's total fucking douchey. I'm not doing it. Like
Where are
it's
you going that there's a step and repeat? I've been in LA for 10 years. I've never seen one of those things. I
uh
did at the AMAs, but that's like
Mastro's,
I go to Masters. I've
Boa,
never
like
seen it.
they definitely have it. Like when you walk in the entrance, it's right there.
I've never noticed it. I've never
Oh
noticed
yeah,
it. Maybe I'm just because I'm so food oriented. I was just going straight to the food. But
that's so funny.
what is your
Um,
ideal first? Oh no, go ahead.
no,
Oh,
but
sorry, you didn't even answer the question. Oh, that was your answer.
well, I guess I guess it depends on the the girl, right? I mean, if some girl's a total yogi, maybe you guys go to a yoga class together. I don't know. I don't do yoga. I mean, you've seen me. Um, I'm not saying I'm fat, but I don't do yoga. But it's it's also again very personal. If somebody's into music, I would say, I would obviously going by their bio, see what their kind of interests are. Once you learn what their interests are, find something that would pique their interest. It's not about me. In my opinion, I want to do something that they would enjoy. That they're in a good mood. The date goes well.
Just to talk about music, you two are both actually into the same shitty type of music.
Oh, here we go.
FYI.
Right. Right.
There are
We're
not
gonna
a lot
fucking.
of girls.
You're.
There are not a lot
You're
of girls that would be into either one of those music.
right. Okay. Right. Have you? And I'm not into EDC, but I went last year for 3 hours, and yeah, there's a lot of fucking girls there. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Fine. What is your ideal first date?
Um, my ideal first date. Um, that's a good one. I don't. I'm so easygoing. You know me. I'm so easygoing. Like,
Yeah,
just
you
go
are
have
really
like,
so.
a good meal and maybe a good show.
I was just gonna say I had one of those for the second time ever. Those minchelada thingies with you. Yeah, I can't think of you without thinking those are really good.
right.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's I me. I have no expectations. I'm so chill. I just want to have a good time. I'm gonna laugh. Um, a
as
comedy
long as you're.
show is a good first option because it kind of breaks the ice and everyone's in a good mood.
But you
It's
can't talk. You can't talk to the person next to you.
even better. No, I'm just kidding. Well, but you can socialize before or after and talk about the show and grab a bite and it's
A
I don't
few
know.
more
I don't.
questions and I promise we'll let you go. I promise.
All
We
good.
got it. You don't know something easy going. We got it. You're like you're
All
trying
good.
so hard. But only a few more questions. I swear we'll let you go because I know you're sick and you've been working. Okay. Um, what do you think is your own personal biggest hurdle to finding someone? Like, what do you think is your like Jessica said, trust. I think I also have like a hard time letting people in because I feel like they'll fuck up my life. Like, what do you think is your own personal biggest hurdle?
I would say right now, yeah, trust is definitely a big one. Letting somebody in, like really letting somebody in, and then then to see another side of them that you just to be blindsided by that. Like I definitely take relationships much slower now. Like it's hard for me to just jump into something. I mean, I would never jump into anything again, but trust is a
Is it
big
be-
one.
is it because you think you have, and I said this about me, and I kind of have that feeling about you. Like, you feel like your life is pretty put together. You've got your shit together. You're pretty happy. You can hang out with yourself. You've got good friends. You've got your life together, and you feel like if you let the wrong person in, they will blow it up.
Well, yeah, it's there's a lot of it. I think a lot of trust issues come from a deeper rooted thing, obviously, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I had an ex who had, you know, lots of their parents had a lot of marital issues, and that caused major trust issues for them. And this isn't just one. I've had a couple different girlfriends that had the same situation. So I would travel a lot for work. Like I was out of town a lot, and anytime I was out of town, you know, two or three different girls that I was dating over the years all thought I was cheating on them when I was out there working my ass off, living out of my car practically, and in hotels for 6 or 8 weeks, traveling around the country, and you know, I was constantly getting shit. Like, if I was in Houston, I have friends in Houston. I'd go have dinner with friends in Houston and hang out with them, and then go back to my hotel and go to sleep. Well, where were you last night? Oh, I was in Houston. I have friends here. Blah blah blah. This and that. Oh, sounds like you're having a great time. Like, well, yeah, I was, but that's one night out of the 6 weeks I've been on the road. So trust is definitely a big one. But my schedule is also another one. I don't want, or I really don't need anyone who's needy. That's a big turnoff. I work a lot, and I'm a very spontaneous guy, so I don't make a lot of plans in advance, which I think some girls think is like maybe I don't care or I don't, but it's like I work a lot. Sometimes like, hey, you want to go grab dinner when I get out at 8?
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a special event or something, I certainly will, and I definitely have a romantic side, but it's just
You
I
do
work
use
a lot.
someone that understands like that lifestyle, like that's a lot of work, and you kind of, you make time for personal stuff, but like during the week and all that, like you're kind of committed to being available for work.
Yeah, and if you want to do something, tell me, and I'm totally fine with it. But don't, don't assume that I know that you want to go to this event or something and not say anything and get pissed off when I don't buy his tickets for it. You know what I mean? Shit
Oh,
like
that's
that.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
My wife's good. Like
So
we've been together 15 years, 16 years, whatever. We got past all that shit. But yeah, it's pretty common. I think that people expect you to just be constantly looking out for clues and whatever. I'm like, just fucking tell me in two
just
sentences
tell
or
me
less what you
exactly.
want, right? And or here's my credit card. Go buy yourself something. Because my wife's like that. She's like, oh, did you order, something for my birthday or whatever? I'm like, what do you want? I just. But like we're
Oh,
that
you
far
don't
into the
surprise
relationship.
her?
I do
Oh no,
sometimes. Like
no,
she
no,
wanted,
no.
she was eyeballing this Lululemon bag a while ago, so I went and picked it up. And didn't tell her about it, so she was super like Jack because like we share our accounts and everything like that, so it's hard to like surprise her.
That is true. It's
I was
really
way
weird
more
looking
into that
too.
when like before we got married. We kind of joined our accounts when we got married, like just around that time. So before that, I was way more into like buying her like spontaneous stuff. 'Cause she didn't know about it. But since we joined our cash, she's always like, we both are like, I'm like, what did you buy on Amazon? But there's no surprises anymore. It's hard. So I went and picked up this Lululemon thing not too long ago. But yeah.
It's funny. I've actually had to buy my boss shit for his wife because he's like,
Oh, she'll know about it. Yeah, yeah. I
exactly.
considered that. I have a credit card that she doesn't always look at, so I'll like put car parts on there or whatever. But yeah, I did. I'll sometimes put stuff on there for her because it won't show up right away. So I got to give it to her like that day.
Can I tell you guys something funny? My
No.
my best friend used to live upstairs, and her husband sent he like messaged me like, can I send her Christmas gift to your house? And I was like, yeah. And then I completely forgot, and like a week later this Louis Vuitton package comes, and I'm so excited. I'm like ripping it
Naturally,
open.
yeah.
Yeah, like, and I was
That's
like, oh my
hilarious.
god, who sent this to me? And I was so excited. And then I like ripped the whole package open, like, and I'm not very good. I don't like open things nicely, but it was like perfume. And everyone that knows me knows I don't like I have a very specific perfume, and it's not that. And I was like, who would buy me Louis Vuitton perfume? And I like already tore apart this, like, it comes in like a nice box, but all the paper and like the silicone wrap around the box and
You
everything.
just fucking got into it. Yeah, no surprise.
As soon as, yeah, totally. Like there was no
Naturally,
putting this
you
back
didn't even
together.
think about it. You're like, oh, this must be for a secret admirer. Naturally, like if there was
Couldn't
a gift
even.
on my doorstep, I'd have follow up questions.
Yeah, I'd be more
I
nervous
didn't
than
think
anything.
Jerry's like,
I
this
didn't think
checks
about it
out.
at
Yeah.
all. And then he messages me. He's like, "Hey, the package should be delivered." I was like, "Ooh." So
He's trying to put
It
it back
sure
together.
was. It sure
I did.
was.
I did try to put it back together, but luckily my best friend loved it. She's like, I like it even more because I could see like she opens things so nicely. She's like, what kind of savage
There's like teeth marks
opens
in
a
it.
Louis
Yeah.
Vuitton? Yeah.
I bought Terrence some shoes one time that she like sent me a link to. It's like sometimes I'll be like, send me a link to like 5 or 6 things you want. I'll pick one or two and it'll be like a surprise. And then I was going through the credit card. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it was like one of these shoe places that she had told me to get the shoes from. And she's like, well, I know, like she knew what it was right away. I'm like, fuck.
Oh, did you forget you bought it?
Yeah. Sorry, I left that part of the story out. That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
like wait a minute. Like,
Yeah. So I was like going through the credit card statement. I'm like, what in the fuck? And I had bought it for her from this one of the places she had suggested for gifts. Fuck's sakes. You can't surprise.
that
It's
is
just,
kind of
Funny
funny.
shit.
That is. You can apparently you can only surprise yourself.
oh, I hide my own Easter eggs. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let me ask you a couple more questions. We're almost done, I swear.
Yeah.
What do you think women are looking for in a man?
Stability.
So, yeah, I like that one. That's a
I
really
think.
good one.
I think. And again, that's not every woman, but I think a lot of women are.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good one.
I think that's probably the number one thing.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes.
God damn it.
yes,
We're 2 for 2.
yes. Because last week Jessica and Lee said no, and I said I believe in love at first sight.
Oh, great! Of all the fucking people.
To side with, yeah, I know.
Jesus.
She brought in a fucking ringer. Here we go.
I absolutely do. I mean, there's I dated a girl who I saw this when I was living in Colorado. I saw her across the street, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And she'd just gotten into town, and I didn't like make it my mission. I'm not one of those guys that like I'm not hey, that's my I don't call like, hey,
He
she's mine,
lied. He
you
got
know.
binoculars. He got the whole night vision system. But go on.
And
Tranquilizer
Tell us
unit.
how you didn't stalk her.
well, no, it's funny. She actually, I didn't realize this, but she actually liked me. So she worked right across the street from me. She was an esthetician, and I had my store across the street. And so, we'd see each other all the time. And she was dating this guy who was a total fucking douchebag. I mean, so much so he got arrested for like he got extradited back to Colombia. He was such a fucking scumbag. I don't even, like, so
Be
anyway.
careful. They might come after you.
Oh God, he was all of 5'3". What's he gonna do? Um,
That is true.
anyway, I was with a friend at like a Chinese New Year's party at one of our friends' Chinese restaurants, and she happened to be there. And she walked by me to go use the restroom or something. As she walked by me, I just looked at her and go, Michelle? And she turns around, she's like, oh my God, you know my name? And I'm like, of course. And she's like, she did it on purpose. I found out later, and it was like one of those things where we just both had been attracted to each other for quite some time, but never were in the same space until that night. And then she just walked by. I was like, Michelle? She's like, oh my God, I didn't think you know me. And
So you're both
we dated.
stalking each other?
Then we dated for a couple of years.
No way.
Yeah.
No. So I love that you believe in love at first sight because there's just something, and that's the only time it's ever happened to you.
No, it's actually, it happened a couple of times. And actually, one of my best friends married a girl that the first time he saw her, he's like, that's the girl I want to marry. And they're married and have 3 kids now.
Ah, I love this.
No,
I love
God.
this. Okay.
He actually said, he's like, none of you fuckers are allowed to touch her.
What if she didn't like him? Then could one of you like her?
No. If you knew this guy, no, that's a hard no.
He wasn't 5'3".
He actually was, but he was like a 5'3" scrapper.
Yeah, some of those guys are the craziest ones.
Yeah, still one of my best friends to this day. Love him to death.
How many dates do you think you should give somebody before you know if they're right for you?
I don't think there's a number. I think you know pretty quickly. It's. I mean, there's like I said, there's been a couple girls that I've gone out with on the Tinder or the Bumble or whatever you kids call it, and immediately it was like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. We had dinner, went through the niceties, and then that was it. And then there's others where I'm like, okay, well, let's see, and go out on another one, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3, but for me, I know pretty quickly. But I think I'm a pretty good judge of character. Like if somebody's full of shit in business, I know they're full of shit right away, and I'm done. Like I don't give them the time of day.
Can I just tell you something quickly offhanded? You are so fucking old like Lee because Lee calls TikTok the TikTok.
Fucking dumb. I'm not getting on there.
You guys are
She's
fucking
trying to.
old.
She makes me like share stuff. So I'm like, that's I need another social media outlet you can yell at me about.
Yeah, and of course I call it the Bumble and the Tinder because I know you'll get a fucking kick out of it.
That's right. Yeah,
You guys are fucking old.
Yeah,
And last thing, what is your number one dating advice to our listeners?
Don't rush into anything. Just
I'm trying to
don't
get
rush
married
in.
in 3 months.
Well, you're also Persian, so no, but just slow down. Don't take anything. Don't move too quickly. I've made that mistake more than once, and that's the number one thing that I will try not to do again.
So then what would you say, then I swear last one, but what would you say is like an appropriate time to get to know someone?
How do you put a time limit on that? It's one of those things where.
But you're saying don't rush into it. So what would be like too short? What would be enough time?
I think it's easier to tell right away if it's not going somewhere. But like
100%.
if it could potentially be going somewhere, then like that's a whole other question, right?
I mean, I've had multiple relationships that I was dating a girl for, 2-3 years, and then it didn't work out. So but right off the bat, if I went out on a date with someone, I knew immediately it wasn't going to work.
But you're saying like don't rush like a relationship. Like let's say if you were
don't move it. Like if you're going out on a couple dates, you've had a good fun month or two, don't move in with each other after 2-3 months. Give it some time.
I see.
A lot of people, I think,
whoever I date next, do not take this piece of advice. My lease is up in October.
Well, I was just gonna say, a lot of people do it out of convenience too, and I've done that. We've all done that, you know. But it seems to backfire because you don't really know that person until you've moved in with them, right?
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
people
you
that
see a
get
whole.
married before moving in is wild to me.
Yeah, fuck that.
I worked with a chick that I was telling Sherry already. She did that. She was her and her husband lived at home, like with their own homes with their parents, and they got married and then moved in, all right away. And I was working with her. She was like just like overwhelmed, and I'm like, I'm not surprised. You got married and then moved in out of your house with your folks into your first place without them with your. I'm like, that is way too much at once. That's insane. But
Exactly. Like just take it slow.
yeah,
Don't rush into, moving in with each other. And I know it's tough because a lot of people have roommates, especially younger, and it's hard to spend time one on one with somebody, in a roommate situation, things
yeah.
like that. But I would say really get to know them. Look in their medicine cabinet. That's like my number one
Yeah.
advice because I can't ever date a girl again without looking at her medicine cabinet. And I've been saying that for years, and I still do it. And it.
It never
Let me
steers you
tell
wrong.
you, if it's
Yeah.
important, we don't put it in the cabinet. It's hidden somewhere else.
Yeah, I've learned that shit too. And I'm not talking about like antifungal cream or like
Yeah.
tampons and shit,
Yeah, it's
So,
really hidden. Well, I loved it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it was like a really good eye opening.
well, I thank you for having me. I'm honored that you asked. I apologize. If I sound like shit. I either have bronchitis or really bad allergies. So,
Well, if you don't wake up in the morning, we're gonna assume it was bronchitis.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. We'll
Thanks for
talk to you
having me.
later. Bye,
Lee, nice to
guys.
meet you.
All right. Yeah. And you take care. All right.
Have a good
Yeah.
night. Bye.
You too. Bye.